Opening his eyes, Ryan saw a blindingly bright light, which he began to unconsciously reach for. For several moments he tried to figure out where he was. Suddenly, memories of the last moments before he ended up in this place came flooding back to him. At the last moment of his life, the hero was too self-confident and thought that he could cope with the attack, but he overestimated himself too much. The explosion took his life with it. Ryan didn't understand. He could die with his abilities like that, especially in front of his people. The guy was very angry about the current situation. He remembered the day when he agreed to cooperate with one of the leading companies. The girl then warned him that the hero should be careful because someone was targeting him. But the guy then did not take her warning seriously, answering that with his abilities, none of the enemies would be able to even lay a finger on him. He was also confident in his safety due to the fact that only one person knew about their union, and then asked Anna to make all the necessary preparations for the evening of celebration. She clarified that if by that person he meant Agnes, who protected his boyfriend from being shot in the back, then the girl said not to trust her so much. The hero also guessed that not everything was clear with Agnes. Suddenly he received a message from her, from which he learned that the girl had sent him a gift that would arrive any minute. He was surprised by this. She had never sent him gifts before. It was quite unexpected that the girl decided to do this. At the same time, in the window behind him, the outlines of a large object appeared, which was approaching the building. Feeling something was wrong, he turned around. Ryan was amazed that they didn't spare money for an entire plane to kill him, but Anna shouted that they needed to get out of here as soon as possible. Loosening his tie, he replied that the plane was too close and there was no point in running. Therefore, he has no choice but to accept this challenge. The next moment, he gathered all his strength into his fist, intending to attack the plane flying towards him, after which he rushed towards him, striking him. In the last moments, jubilation filled his soul to the brim. Now Ryan realized how reckless it was of him to try to take down the plane with his bare hands. He was worried about who could take advantage of Anna, who would never dare to kill him. The system window that appeared distracted the hero from his thoughts, informing him that he had been chosen as the savior of Doomsday and was reborn in the world of the apocalypse. Also, when completing the main task, he would be able to return to his world. He reread the information several more times in surprise, trying to comprehend everything. It seemed to him that such things were real only in children's fairy tales, but not in reality. But he could not refuse the offered chance to return back. He had too many unfinished matters left. So the next moment, he pressed the agree button, after which a bright light began to emanate from the window. A couple of seconds later, a beautiful girl materialized in front of him, introduced herself as the goddess of the system and said that from that moment on, Ryan became her master. Layla said that before she sends the hero to the world of the apocalypse, she will briefly describe the situation there. In 2030, a special drink spread throughout the world, but no one even imagined the consequences of its use. Suddenly, inexplicable changes began to occur to those who drank it frequently. Soon these people began to turn into zombies. Due to the fact that these monsters feed on blood and flesh, they began to attack ordinary people, who became their main source of food. Everyone bitten by them also turned into zombies and the virus continued to spread everywhere. The surviving people very quickly lost control of the situation, and the apocalypse reigned in the world. For this reason, the hero was called to this world to save people and restore peace and order. The girl warned him that Ryan would no longer be able to be reborn after death again, so he needs to be extremely careful. Doubt settled in the guy's head, and he replied that he was too weak to save the whole world with his bare hands without the proper weapons or abilities. Layla was amazed by his words. She had never seen a man who rushed onto a plane with his bare hands and then called himself too weak. She said with irritation that before him there were as many as 98 chosen ones, but every single one of them had been defeated, so being the 99th chosen one, he would receive help from her. Ryan could not help but be struck by such a number of predecessors. Seeing the guy's reaction, the goddess waited for him to start begging her on his knees for help. A moment later, he quite calmly said that the girl must have a heart of steel in order to send so many to certain death. She was infuriated by his words. Holding back so as not to kill the boy on the spot, she said that the system gives the hero a choice of some abilities to increase the chances of survival, but you can only choose one without the possibility of changing. A moment later, many windows with different abilities appeared in front of the guy. The goddess said that he could take one and read the description. After viewing most of it, he realized that he was already familiar with these Shaolin techniques and there was no point in choosing them. Suddenly he saw something that could interest him. It was a magic eye technique, a special ability of the eyes that can be improved and new effects obtained. It was her hero who decided to choose. After he pressed the right button, several golden ones rushed towards him. As soon as his eye absorbed all the energy, the same pattern that was on the ability card began to appear on it. Immediately after this, he turned with interest towards the goddess. She didn't understand why the hero was staring at her so intently. But a moment later he, blushing, said that he approved of her choice of underwear. Confused, the goddess told him not to use his ability on her. In his defense, Ryan replied that he was only checking the product for quality. Layla has already regretted choosing this guy to be the savior of the world, but she can only wait until someone more reliable appears. After regaining her composure, she said that his ability included a special technique of the system, such as the eye of the head. In this world, gold no longer has the same value, but for Ryan it is a very valuable material. She explained that in order to become stronger he would need to invest money. Only in this way could he save the world and return to his own with the help of the eye gate. The hero was glad when he heard that he could return back with the help of his own ability, which he only needed to improve to the required level. He was already looking forward to pulverizing all the traitors upon his return. The guy was brought out of his dreams by the voice of the goddess, who said that in addition to the ability, he was given a beginner's bag, which contained food for 20 days and a blade. After which she warned him that the hero can get all these things with the power of thought, and for the death of monsters he will receive surprises. And after saying goodbye she disappeared. Ryan just watched in amazement as her image crumbled. The next moment he found himself in an unfamiliar place. Hearing sounds behind him, he hurried to turn around. Seeing the silhouette of a naked girl behind the thin fabric of the curtain, the hero was glad that he received the reward so quickly. Having pulled himself out of such fantasies, he tried to return his thoughts to their previous direction, reminding himself that this was the world of the apocalypse, and he should not be distracted by something like that. He then used his X-ray ability to find out what was behind the screen, but the girl's body he saw there again sent his thoughts to a completely different wave. Emerging from his fantasies again, he decided that he should be more careful, because he was new to this world and did not know much about it. Suddenly the curtain fabric was cut, and a knife flew towards the guy. He easily managed to dodge such a dangerous weapon. A couple of moments later, the knife returned to its owner. Ryan noted that it was a pretty good technique, and it was almost perfect. Meanwhile, Alicia independently rushed at the guy with a knife, but he again successfully avoided all her attacks in his direction. Deftly tripping the girl, the hero knocked her to the floor. Alicia, embarrassed, said that if he continued to stare at her, she would rip out his eyes. Ryan's excuse was that because her towel was too sexy, he couldn't help it. It seemed that the girl was even more embarrassed after his words. A moment later, the place of embarrassment was replaced by rage and Alicia raised her fists to attack the insolent man, but he grabbed her hands, blocking the attack. Releasing her hands from the grip, she decided to kick. But this attack was also blocked. Ryan asked if he really impressed her so much that she was looking for an opportunity to unobtrusively hug him. The girl didn't understand where such a strong person came from. She had never seen someone like that before. Afterwards she said that even if she couldn't defeat him, she would call a whole crowd of zombies here and they would die together. She was willing to become one of these monsters if it would help destroy her enemy. The hero praised her for such an interesting idea and asked how she was going to bleed. After his words, she realized that she could not move her arms or legs. She was about to bite his hand, but her stomach decided to betray the girl at the most inopportune moment, making a loud rumbling sound, after which she fell exhausted. Alicia made the excuse that due to the fact that she had not eaten for the past few days, her strength had quickly depleted, otherwise she would have easily defeated him. After her words, he remembered one important thing that was worth trying. With the power of thought, he summoned a jar of canned food, after which the hero handed it to the surprised girl. The girl said in disbelief that canned food in their world is a very valuable product, and she cannot believe that a person like him could just give her something like that. After her words, he decided to use a trick, saying that since she was refusing such a wonderful dinner of high-quality meat, washed with the purest water and fried in oil with vegetables, he would have to enjoy it alone. Alicia barely managed to restrain herself so as not to fall for the guy's provocation. But with every word he said, her determination began to crack more and more, and her hunger reminded her of itself. In the end, she gave up and snatched the can of canned food from him. As soon as she tried the first spoon, it seemed to her that it was the most delicious thing she had tasted in her entire life. Turning away, she began to actively empty the contents of the jar. A few moments later, she looked pleadingly at the hero, asking if he had a few more jars of food. Ryan replied that there was food, but in return the girl had to answer a couple of questions. Alicia said she wasn't going to cater to his every whim in exchange for food. Some time later, they moved to another room, in which the hero was studying the map, and the girl was enjoying food. After talking with his new friend, the hero realized that he was in the south of the state in the city of M. Most of the survivors gathered in this city. Having studied everything he needed, Ryan stood up, thanked the girl for her help and said that it was time for him to hit the road. Jumping out the window, he said that the girl had a wonderful figure. Alicia was taken by surprise by his last words. Approaching the same window, she decided that she should follow this guy in order to get more delicious food in the future. She secretly watched him, hiding behind the corners of houses. These actions did not come as a surprise to the hero. He felt that someone was following him. The guy decided that the girl was not a threat and could continue to follow him. Suddenly he remembered the words of the goddess that he would receive gifts for killing zombies. Ryan decided to check it out at the first opportunity. For some time it began to seem strange to him that not a single zombie came across his path. When the guy walked past the display case, a monster jumped out, ready to attack its prey. The hero turned with a smile towards the broken display case, rejoicing that he finally had the opportunity to fight with someone. He deftly dodged his opponent's claws, moving to the side. When he tried to launch a frontal attack, Ryan easily jumped back several meters. While dodging another attack, the hero accidentally touched a tin can lying on the ground. It did not escape the guy that the monster instantly reacted to the sounds made by the can. A moment later, the zombie lunged at Ryan again. He again successfully dodged the zombie's claws, noticing that the enemy's speed had increased. The hero was tired of playing catch-up, and he called on the weapon that the goddess had prepared for him. The next moment, he cut off both his opponent's arms with lightning speed, moving behind his back. Ryan was sure that without arms, a zombie would not pose much of a threat to him. When he turned around to look at the results of his work, he was alerted by the red glow that enveloped his opponent's hands. A couple of seconds later, the hero watched with a slack jaw as new limbs appeared in place of the severed limbs. As soon as he recovered from the shock, the guy started running, wondering what was happening here. The monster quickly overtook him and was again about to attack his target. Ryan reacted in time and cut off the zombie's limbs to buy himself a few seconds. The monster had no problem growing new arms and chasing his target again. He again cut off his opponent's already tired limbs. Thus, they fought with each other for quite a long time. The monster's arms grew back again and again. No matter how hard the hero chopped them, he decided that he should change tactics, because at this rate he himself would run out of steam faster than defeat the enemy. Suddenly a good idea occurred to him, after which he threw away his blade. He activated his eye ability and began to gather all the energy into his fists. A moment later he lunged at the zombie. Seeing the guy rushing towards him, the monster put his hands in front of him as protection. But his blow was so strong that it easily broke through such an unreliable defense. Not even 3 seconds had passed before the monster's head was blown off its body. Ryan was glad that at least somewhere his knowledge from the games that he had been interested in for quite a long time was useful. Suddenly, the monster's body began to turn into gold, which greatly surprised the hero who was watching this. As soon as he came to his senses, he was sincerely happy that he managed to get so much money for one killed zombie. Taking the coin in his hands, the hero realized what gift the goddess was talking about. To his surprise, the coin he was holding in his hand began to change, and a second later, Layla stood in front of the unaware guy, who congratulated him on his first murder. She happily announced that for killing one zombie the hero receives 1 million. Hearing such a sum, Ryan was sure that very soon he would become rich just by eliminating monsters. Meanwhile, the goddess created a tree system of his ability and reported that, having received the first award, the guy opened one of the branches of development of his magic eye. She explained that in order to upgrade the eye to fighting spirit, he needed to earn another 10 million gold. Ryan couldn't help but be struck by the number he heard, which swept away all his vivid fantasies about wealth. The girl also reported that the hero managed to activate the eye gate. This ability allows him to return to his world. After her words, the guy became eager and asked how much gold this ability requires. Without hiding her smile, she replied that for each transition he needed only 100 million coins, and besides, he could stay in his world for no more than a day. The former hope in Ryan's eyes was melting away before his eyes. He was very saddened by the fact that he would not be able to return to his old life before he completed the task of this world. After this, the goddess warned that the gold that the hero receives for killing monsters is visible only to him. She also strictly forbade him to touch the coins. She explained this by saying that the system automatically tops up the account. The girl also did not forget to mention that while he is in another space, time in this world stops, so Ryan does not have to worry about being hurt or killed. After that, Layla wished him good luck and said that he could call on her at any time. As soon as the goddess disappeared, the hero stretched his numb limbs, saying that he must earn money to open the gate. All this time, one pair of interested eyes was watching him. Anna was amazed at the strength that the boy showed, killing the zombies with just one blow. She understood that he was completely unfamiliar with their world. It remained a mystery to her why such a gifted person, with endless resources, was here. The girl decided to continue following him. Anna set herself a goal, no matter what, to figure out who this guy is and what goal he is pursuing. Sometime later, the hero defeated several more zombies. Although he managed to meet a couple of monsters, in order to collect 100 million, the hero needs to find their place of accumulation. Suddenly he was attracted by the smell coming from the fabric, which stood out against the general background. Taking the handkerchief, he read the message on it, from which he learned that someone was hiding in an amusement park and was surrounded by a large number of zombies. Ryan decided not to miss this great opportunity to earn some money. Half an hour later he was at the entrance to the park that was mentioned in the message. Going inside, the hero began to look around in search of monsters. Suddenly he was attracted by a sound coming from the tent opposite. A couple of seconds later, a pretty girl in shabby clothes ran out from there, asking to be saved. She was glad that she had hope of getting out of here alive. To her horror, two monsters in clown costumes, from whom she had been so diligently hiding, appeared at the entrance to her hideout. Alice involuntarily shed tears from the fear that paralyzed her. Ryan was also attacked by two monsters. Knowing that the head was their weak point, it was not difficult for him to defeat his attackers. The girl did not even have time to realize what had happened when she saw that the right side of the zombie approaching her was destroyed. The hero was glad that he decided to come to such an interesting place, thanks to which he would be one step closer to returning to his own world. All the zombies nearby turned their attention from the crying girl to the guy, after which they rushed at him without hesitation. Ryan switched to ranged combat, focusing energy in his hands. As soon as he snapped his fingers, the monster's head was pierced by a bullet consisting of the guy's energy. In order to deal with the others, he decided to summon his dagger, after which the hero cut off the clown's head in the blink of an eye. Turning around, he threw his weapon towards the enemies approaching from behind. The monster that was closest to the guy managed to dodge the blade, but the one who was further away did not have such luck, and his head was separated from his body. He tripped the zombie girl, knocking her off her feet. The weapon returned to its owner, giving him the opportunity to deliver a fatal blow. That's exactly what Ryan did. Immediately after this, money fell like a mountain from all the corpses. The girl watched in surprise as the guy single-handedly defeated a crowd of undead. She came out of her hiding place, relying on her charm, and said that she liked strong people like him. Alice froze in her position for several seconds, but Ryan didn't even pay attention to her. This behavior of his began to irritate the girl. She was about to call out to him again when she unwittingly witnessed how the hero, examining the corpse of a zombie, reached into his pants. The girl was amazed by this, and not the best guesses about the hero's intentions were spinning in her head. Meanwhile, Ryan himself examined the corpse, not understanding why, out of everyone else, he received gold. He was already starting to get angry at the fact that he wouldn't be able to get his honestly earned money. All this time he was watched by a shocked Alice, who did not even know how to react to the scene unfolding in front of her. When Ryan turned the dead body onto his stomach and lifted it to shake out the coins lying somewhere in his clothes, the girl, who did not know the guy's true motives, strengthened her arguments that the hero was a real pervert. A few moments later, the long-awaited coins finally fell out of the corpse, which couldn't help but make Ryan happy. Hidden around the corner, Alice wondered if she would be able to escape unnoticed if she ran before she was noticed. The hero heard her thoughts about escape, which she voiced, and turned around and asked where she intended to run. The girl realized that she had no other choice but to come out to him from her hiding place and try to seduce him. A couple of seconds later, she came out and in a seductive voice expressed her gratitude to him for saving her, because if he had not appeared here, the girl would already be dead. After which she introduced herself by her name and said that while looking for food, she came across zombies and had to run away from them for a long time and ended up stuck in this shelter, unable to go far. Alice asked him to take her back to where she came from. In return, she would thank him generously. When the topic of gratitude came up, Ryan's interest immediately awoke and he asked if she had any gold. The girl replied that he shouldn't joke like that, because in this world no one else has such a useless thing as money. After that, she touched her chest and said that she could give something more interesting than what he was talking about. To her surprise, the guy turned away and said goodbye to her, saying that he had more important things to do. Alice called out to him, saying that he should not so thoughtlessly refuse her offer. She demanded that he accompany her. Turning around, the hero asked what would happen if he refused her. The girl was amazed that her unsurpassed beauty had no effect on him. Having come to her senses, she replied that in this case she would have to take extreme measures. After these words, she clapped her hands. Ryan, who did not expect any danger from the girl, visibly tensed, expecting an attack. A couple of moments later, 3 more girls came out to them, surrounding the hero. Beatrice approached the guy and, after examining him, praised her friend for managing to bring such a handsome young man here. The other 2 girls fully supported her. Beatrice pulled him into her arms, telling him that if he came with them, they would all be his entirely. Alice approached him from the other side and, taking him by the elbow, said that they also had a lot of food and various drinks, so he should go with them. Ryan was clearly flattered by such attention from the beauties, and he agreed without any hesitation. The girls were glad that the guy fell for their games so easily. They already had a plan for how they would get rid of him after the distraction. As each of them reached for their hidden weapon, they were greatly surprised when they realized it was missing. Beatrice was greatly disturbed by the sudden lack of much-needed supplies for their plan. Taking advantage of the moment, Ryan moved to a safe distance from them, after which he called out to them, saying that there was no point in looking for their lost toys, after which he showed the beauties their own weapons. Surprised, Alice asked how he managed to pull off this trick. Ryan replied that he had already discovered their plan a long time ago. A few minutes earlier, when he had just arrived at this park, he carefully examined everything. He was constantly haunted by a strange feeling of some danger. When he noticed Alice, it seemed strange to him that the girl, surrounded by zombies, was not at all scared. So he used his magic eye ability on her. With her help, he found out that in the girl's back pocket there was a tranquilizer, which definitely did not work on the local monsters. It is obvious that appearing alone as bait would be too dangerous, so her assistance must be somewhere nearby. He then scanned the area nearby using his ability. Ryan confirmed his guess when he found several girls with weapons a few meters away from him. It was not difficult for him to uncover this trap, because he himself arranged similar ambushes for his enemies, and he was interested in this situation. Beatrice tried to come up with some kind of plan that could improve their situation. The girls decided to fight him using pure physical strength. Beatrice was confident in herself and in her friends. Not a single guy had ever left her. A moment later, they rushed towards the guy, ready to attack him. Ryan was amused that they decided to go at him barehanded, and he apologized to them in advance for his actions. Jessica attacked first. She said that if he wanted to stay alive, then he better go with them on good terms. The hero easily avoided the blow of her fist, and the next moment, she was already flying face first into the ground. The guy threw a tranquilizer in her wake, which exactly hit its target, and was supposed to incapacitate the girl. At the same time, Veronica attacked him from behind, taking advantage of the fact that he responded to her friend. Suddenly a whip wrapped around her leg. Ryan used her own weapon to immobilize the girl. Veronica herself did not understand how he managed to notice her so quickly and react in time. The next moment, he released the whip, forcing the girl to spin in one place, like a spinning top. Alice and Beatrice decided not to miss the moment, and attacked the hero together. But Ryan also dodged their joint blow. At the same time, he managed to put the girls in handcuffs. By placing a sharp blade against Beatrice's stomach, he protected them from rash actions towards him. She raised her hands and was about to say something to the guy, but he knocked her out with a blow to the back of the head. Another person watched everything that happened from a safe distance. Anna was surprised that Ryan managed to avoid the trick and succumb to the charm of so many beauties. After some time, Beatrice opened her eyes and found that they were all connected. The hero wondered why all the survivors he met here were girls. The girl distracted him from his thoughts, saying that he should not treat members of the Black Lily gang in this way. Ryan replied that he didn't care who they were, he just needed her to answer a couple of his questions, otherwise he would feed them to all the zombies. He knelt down in front of her, saying that judging by their clothes, they acted as bait for men. He also remembered her words that not a single man had ever managed to leave her. He was interested in what happened to men in this world. During the day he was walking here, he did not meet a single one. Hearing his question, Alice asked if he knew that the male half of the population had become very valuable animals. Ryan didn't understand what the girl was talking about and asked what it meant. She replied that this began after the virus began to actively spread. The first signs of infection appeared earliest in men. Within a few months, most of the men in China were turned into zombies, but women were less susceptible to it. As a result, men, left in the minority, were on the verge of extinction and became a very expensive resource. A little later they turned into sex slaves and ordinary workers. They have to endure all possible humiliations directed at them, not daring to resist. After the girl's story about this place, Ryan realized that everything was much worse than he had imagined. Due to the constant danger of infection and the small amount of quality food, even the women fell into madness. He realized that it would be difficult for him to survive in such a situation, even with his strength, so he decided to take a different route and try to create an army of girls. A sudden sound a few meters away from the hero attracted his attention. He activated the eye to check what was there. Ryan was surprised to find a crowd of undead heading towards them. A couple of moments later, they were already climbing over the park fence to get to their victims. The hero was glad to have this opportunity to earn some extra money. He summoned his blade and beheaded the two monsters with lightning speed. The sudden scream of the girls distracted his attention. One of the zombies was approaching the previously tied beauties. Beatrice tearfully asked Alice to save everyone by sacrificing herself. The monster had already reached for the frightened girl's wrists, leaving behind bloody cuts from his nails on the delicate skin. Alice replied that only Beatrice would get infected here and she shouldn't drag others into this. After that, she jumped up from her seat and ran to the exit, leaving her friend to be torn to pieces by the monsters. Ryan couldn't help but notice Alice's escape. Remembering that the monsters were already waiting for him, he got rid of one of them, who managed to get inappropriately close to the guy. Others failed to escape the fate of their comrade. They were chopped into pieces. The hero liked the picture unfolding in front of him. He made the right decision when he decided to come here in search of monsters that brought him money. He experienced true happiness while receiving money after killing zombies. Alicia didn't understand why the guy looked so happy getting rid of the monsters. The sudden realization that came to her mind shocked her to the core. The only explanation for the guy's behavior was that he was attracted to zombies rather than girls. Meanwhile, Ryan himself waited patiently until the undead approached him at a sufficient distance. At this time, he was thinking that he had already killed enough today, and if he continued in the same spirit, he would attract even more undead, and he definitely could not cope with so many alone. He dodged the claws of the monster that attacked him, after which he immediately cut off his head. The next moment, Anna was very surprised by the guy's actions. Ryan pulled out a can of canned food from his supplies. The girl remembered their delicious taste the last time he gave them to her. Afterwards the guy shouted that if he died here, she would not get these canned goods. Hearing his words, Anna realized that there was no point in hiding anymore, and she replied that she would come down to him in a few seconds. As she promised, a couple of moments later a bike was speeding down the street. She managed to overcome the fence, and the girl found herself above the heads of dozens of zombies. She landed on the ground and ran through the undead towards Ryan. As soon as she caught up with him, she immediately braked, telling him to get on her bike as quickly as possible. Then she warned that if he dropped the can of food, she would throw him back into the arms of the monsters. The hero assured her that the canned goods promised to her were in good hands. Immediately after his words, she started the engine. A moment later, the two of them were already rushing down the street, crushing zombies under them. Some time later they reached the shelter. The room they were in was illuminated only by the lamp that Anna lit, and Ryan watched her with interest. Breaking the silence, he asked if this building was her second base. She confirmed his guess, saying that during the epidemic this rich area was empty, and she chose this house, arranging it for herself. Ryan knew about the lack of many resources in this world and asked the girl where she managed to get fuel. Anna was not going to keep it a secret, and replied that it was a gift from her father before the virus spread. She still hopes that her father is alive, and one day she will get out of here and will definitely find him. The hero listened carefully to the girl without interrupting. Partly he understood her pain of losing a loved one. When she fell silent, he decided to distract her from sad thoughts by offering her an apple, saying that delicious food lifts her spirits and gives her strength to move on. She accepted the apple from him without hesitation. She beamed with happiness when she ate it. In between, the guy asked why she had been watching him all this time. If she fell in love with him, then she shouldn't have been shy and said everything straight. After his words, her cheeks flushed red, and Anna indignantly replied that she was just worried about the food. If he died, then she would never again in her life taste the same delicious food as he gives her. Afterwards she asked who he really was, because it was impossible for an ordinary person to get so much quality food. Grinning, he asked why he should reveal his secrets to a person whom he saw only for the second time in his life. After his words, she began to talk about herself, that before the virus she was a member of the national fencing team, and took prizes. Although she was a champion, she is now no match for a monster like Ryan. The hero noted that the girl is definitely not weak, since she survived alone during the zombie apocalypse. Suddenly he remembered one important thing. The guy planned to create his own society, although there were few men. But if he had someone as strong and smart as this girl on his side, then the chances of bringing this idea to reality would increase significantly. From that moment on, he decided for himself that he would begin to assemble his all-female apocalypse squad. The girl distracted him from his thoughts with a blow to the head. Anna waited for him to tell him about her personality. Ryan knew that under no circumstances could he tell her that he had been transported here from another world. He decided not to say much, just said that he was a wushu master. In response to the girl's question about where the hero gets his food from, he said that it is in his pants and Anna can look for it herself, making sure of his words. Then she threw a pillow at the guy, telling him to stop mocking her. As soon as the girl calmed down, Ryan invited her to make a deal. She was surprised to hear such an offer and inquired about the conditions. The hero started from afar, saying that he needed to hunt zombies, and she knew the territory of this city very well. Therefore, he invited her to become his guide. In return he would pay the girl with her favorite food. When Anna heard that she would receive a can of canned food and an apple every day, she accepted his offer without hesitation. All this time, the girl was constantly tormented by one question: why he was so obsessed with killing zombies. But the conditions he proposed quickly forced the girl to put thoughts about this in a distant drawer. Ryan was glad that he managed to find contact with Anna. This was the first step towards his ultimate goal. Some time later she remembered the events of the day and said that she was very surprised when he did not fall for the tricks of those girls. He replied that he understood people too well to buy into something like that. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening was heard from across the room. This attracted the hero's attention, and he turned his head towards this sound to find out what was there. The next moment, the sight before him caused the guy's nose to bleed. A pretty girl in underwear entered the room. When she saw the stranger, she hurried to cover herself with a shirt. Having given Ryan a couple of blows, Anna said that she would help her sister change clothes. If he peeked, he would not get off easy. After this, the door to the room slammed, and the hero was left alone with himself. It seemed unfair to him that what he received from the girl for the fact that her sister herself entered. Even if he wanted, he could not help but pay attention to the person who suddenly appeared at that moment. Suddenly he was attracted to something in the room in which he was staying. The old sectional was used to store a variety of different decorations. He wondered if he could get gold from gold jewelry. As soon as the bracelet was in his hands, to Ryan's surprise, it began to dissipate. The system said that he can exchange personal items for 10,000 coins. As long as the item is made of gold, it doesn't matter what it is, just one touch is enough and the guy's balance will be replenished. The hero was incredibly happy with such luck. He was getting closer and closer to returning to his world. Inspired, he began to examine the room for things made of gold. He searched every corner, leaving not a single place without his attention. Carried away, Ryan did not notice when the door to the room opened again and Anna came out. He turned his attention to the girls when she asked what he was doing. The hero understood that he was not caught at the best moment. Getting up, he said a hastily invented excuse that he noticed dust and tidied up a little. Anna asked in disbelief why he was interested in this at night. He cleared his throat to come up with a proper excuse. The next moment he said that he was a real gentleman, and taking out a jar of preserves, he added that the girls would live happily ever after with him. Anna was confused by his behavior, and just silently listened to his ridiculous excuses. A few minutes later, the girls settled down on the sofa, and Ryan took the chair opposite, after which Anya introduced him to her twin Sophia. The girl apologized for appearing inappropriately, saying that they rarely have guests, so she didn't even think about clothes. The hero smiled at her, saying that nothing bad had happened and there was no need for her to worry. Anna intervened in their conversation. She was unhappy that her sister was acting as the apologetic party, but Sophia calmed her down, reminding her that he shared food with them. That after her words, the girl remembered that he had indeed given her delicious food several times already. Anna had no choice but to reconcile herself and take her sister's side. Sophia asked how Ryan met her twin. Remembering recent events, he wanted to say that he met in her soul. Anna reacted instantly and did not let him finish, grabbing the guy by the cheeks, and said that she met him when he encountered the Black Lily gang. The girl could not let her sister know that Ryan was spying on her in the shower. Sophia would not be Sophia if she closed her eyes to such an obvious lie from her sister, and said that a moment ago the guy said something about a shower. The hero, having taken enough blows from Anna today, decided not to tempt fate and played along with her, answering that it must have seemed to Sophia that he was definitely talking about a run-in with a gang. The girl did not believe the words of the couple that stood in front of her one bit, and warned that if she found out that the hero would offend her sister, then it was better for him not to know what she would do to him. Ryan was surprised by the sudden change in Sophia's character. This girl is capable of misleading anyone with her angelic appearance. She suddenly started coughing, attracting Anna's attention. Ryan was alarmed by the bandages on her body, the pale color of the girl's skin and the cough accompanied by chest pain. He decided to find out what this girl was sick with. To do this, he used the ability of his eyes on her. He didn't like what he saw and asked Sophia how she got those wounds. Instead, Anna answered that it was all because of the girls from the Black Lily gang. A few weeks ago, he and his sister were looking for food in a warehouse. They were happy when they were able to find many products there. Suddenly, they were followed into the room by armed Black Lily girls, who were known for forcibly taking food from other survivors. Anna did not intend to give them such a large warehouse filled with food. Therefore, they entered into a fight. The girl managed to inflict some injuries on her opponent in close combat. Sophia covered her from the rear, shooting with a bow at other members of the gang. The sisters were a well-coordinated team and defeated everyone quite quickly. The girls began to beg for mercy, to be released. When Anna allowed them to leave, one of the opponents decided to take advantage of the opportunity. At the last moment, Sophia managed to notice an attack from behind, aimed at her sister. She took the blow upon herself, saving Anna. Anna herself watched in horror as a red spot from the wound spread on her sister's chest. Zombies began to flock to them at the smell of blood. The girls barely managed to escape from there. Although their escape was successful, the wound turned out to be too serious and infection began. Anna found a room containing a lot of medicine. She hoped to find the right remedy there to stop the infection, but she was never able to find it, which made her sister feel much worse. Every day Sophia has difficulty falling asleep, and then she is tormented by a strong fever. Anna does not know how much longer her sister can hold out. The girl asked with tears in her eyes if there was a way for him to get medicine, just like he finds food supplies. Ryan thought that it would be nice if his squad was replenished with Sophia and her archery abilities. However, to get the medicine, he needs to get to his world, but he still doesn't have enough gold. After thinking it over, he said that he could help them. The girls were happy after his words, but the hero added that they must find him gold. Sophia asked why he needed such a useless thing. He replied that they shouldn't care. As soon as they found him gold, the guy would find a cure. To persuade Anna to make the decision he needed, he added that in addition to medicines, he would bring them food that did not exist in this world. As soon as the girl heard that she could try something new, she was ready to find anything for the guy, just to get the promised tasty treat. Sophia was surprised that he was easily ready to share such a valuable resource as food with strangers. If she had doubts about him, Now she has come to the conclusion that if he helps them survive, then there is no point in treating him with suspicion. A moment later, both girls agreed to the hero's proposal. Sophia said that there was one casino on the outskirts of the city that used gold instead of chips, so she was sure that the largest reserve of gold in the city was there. Anna reminded her of the large number of zombies that live around this place. Ryan, on the contrary, became interested when he heard about a large accumulation of walking money bags near the casino. Afterwards he said that they don't have to worry about this, he will take on all the monsters. He brought out food for 3, saying that they needed to gain strength and have a good rest so that they could go to the casino in the morning. Sometime later the girls went to bed. The hero stood on the balcony, peering into the starry sky. He was worried about what might become of his company during his absence from it. The guy set himself the goal of finding out all the details immediately upon his return. All this time, Anna was watching him from behind the door leading from the room to her balcony, located next door. She thought that although this guy seems strange in places, the girl feels safe next to him. Suddenly the hero felt that something was wrong. He used the eye to survey the surrounding area. Not far from the house where their small company was located, armed girls from the Black Lilies squad appeared. They easily got rid of the zombies that got in their way. The woman who was at the head of the detachment signaled for the girls to split into 2 groups. Their goal was to get into the house she indicated. Ryan was surprised that Alice actually brought the Black Lilies to him just to get revenge. Anna woke up her sister after scouting the situation with binoculars. It didn't take Sophia long to get ready. A couple of seconds later she was holding her bow. Ryan thought that he might be able to escape from such a crowd of girls, but he strongly doubted whether his sisters could do it. Suddenly a great idea came to him. A moment later, the goddess was in front of him. Ryan asked if 10 million points would be enough for him to improve the eye. She replied that with his current balance, he could improve his ability without any problem. The hero did not hide his joyful smile after her words. He pressed the button confirming his choice. His ability was immediately improved. The girl congratulated him on his successful improvement, and said that his fighting spirit abilities had now been transferred to his memory. Ryan felt incredible strength throughout his body. He was sure that he could definitely handle the Black Lilies gang with this. Afterwards, the goddess said that 20 million coins were required to open the next level of the eye's ability, and asked if the hero wanted to continue the improvement. He was outraged by such high prices. At such prices he would never be able to get back home. The guy politely refused her offer, saying that he could cope with his current level. She nodded and said that with the improvement of his ability, the miraculous lottery skill became available to him. The next moment, an impressively sized dial appeared behind the goddess, above which hung a transparent flask of the same impressive size with unknown capsules inside. She said that this skill allows you to get a random reward for as little as 2 million, ranging from weapons to medicine for zombie poison. Ryan was interested in the possible rewards for such a nice price. He decided to try to play this lottery. After the payment was made, the hand on the dial began to rotate at great speed. The hero watched their movement with bated breath and wondered what he would get. A few agonizingly long moments later, the needle finally stopped. The guy was very disappointed when he received an ordinary paper towel instead of something really useful in battle. He expressed his indignation at this to the goddess. He was not satisfied with such a prize, so he decided to try again. The arrow began to move again. Fortune did not smile on him this time either. He received a bottle of lubricant as a prize. Ryan was not going to accept the fact that he was unlucky in some lottery. Sometime later, the arrow stopped again under the gaze of the guy. This time he was even more upset, having received a bikini that he didn't even know what to do with. Suddenly a brilliant idea came to his mind. Anna knocked on the door of Ryan's room, saying that they would soon be attacked by the Black Lily gang, and they needed to leave as quickly as possible. She was overcome with excitement when a few minutes later the guy came out to them. She decided to knock down the door to check if everything was okay with him. At the same moment, the door opened, letting the hero out of the bedroom. Anna flew straight into him. Neither of them could avoid the collision, and when the girl opened her eyes, she found herself sitting on Ryan, which made her feel terribly awkward. Raising his head, he smiled and said that he had nothing against her hugs, but this position was not very comfortable for him. Sophia said that they don't have time for nonsense. The enemies are about to get to their house. Afterwards, she informed the guy that this was a fairly large detachment, and even the head of the gang was there, due to the fact that she had a pistol with a silencer, and it would be very difficult to deal with her. Anna intended to take revenge on the Black Lilies for wounding her sister. Ryan said that you shouldn't bother them, they will take revenge, but in one very effective way. The girls simultaneously asked what method he was talking about. The guy took out a bikini and replied that they would amaze their enemies with their beauty. Sophia repeated syllable by syllable in a questioning voice, imagining how she would look in something so revealing. Anna immediately rejected his idea, rewarding the guy with her signature blow. Ryan tried to explain that there had been a misunderstanding, and he had no intention of forcing his sisters to wear something like that. Some time later, the Black Lily squad reached the house they needed. Alice said that the guy who killed their friend lives here with the twins, who also killed several of their people. Clarice was already impatient to begin the infiltration operation. She was sure that no one would dare escape from her that night. She and Alice stood at the front door for a few seconds, listening to what was happening inside. To their joy, the door was not locked, and they would not have to waste time breaking it down. The girls went inside without any problems. Suddenly Clarice stopped, signaling the others not to move. Alice whispered that she heard muffled sounds ahead. The leader already had her weapon ready. When everyone else also took their toll, Alice and Clarice emerged from around the corner first to find out the situation and, if necessary, enter into battle. But they were very surprised by what they saw in front of them. A zombie dressed in a swimsuit danced in a spacious room. Alice didn't understand what the zombie was doing here and where Ryan and his sisters had gone. Suddenly, the dancing zombie girl turned her attention to the uninvited guests. She dropped the coat rack she was using as a pole and sank to the floor. Immediately after this, dozens of monsters emerged from the darkness into the light. What was happening caused Alice to be wildly horrified, causing her body to go through a small tremor. The undead began to move towards the girls. Clarice said that they were trapped and they needed to get out of here as quickly as possible. While everyone else was trying to save their lives, the woman decided to buy some time for her girls. A few moments later, one of the girls, who should have already run to safety, returned with numerous wounds. She said that they were also surrounded outside and had nowhere to run, but she was not allowed to finish her last word by a crowd of undead who rushed inside. The girl was unable to avoid inevitable death. Lisa and her partner watched in horror such a cruel spectacle and did not even notice how they were snuck up from behind. The girl noticed the monster only when it sunk its teeth into her friend's neck and numerous splashes of blood hit her. She could hardly restrain her voice so as not to attract even more zombies to her person with her screams. Lisa was not ready to die in such a situation. Clarice still managed to hold off the onslaught of the undead with her machine gun. Although she hit their bodies, the zombies regenerated too quickly, and all her efforts were in vain. The woman did not understand why all her attacks did not cause any damage. Suddenly Lisa attacked her, demanding to give her the weapon. The girl was infuriated by the fact that while she was protecting the leader from all these monsters, Clarice herself had not killed anyone. The woman replied that if it weren't for her, the Black Lilies wouldn't even have come here. A zombie in a swimsuit watched their altercation. She was happy that their true identities were finally exposed and today they would all go to hell together. Having waited for the right moment, the zombie girl reached for the canister with flammable liquid. Meanwhile, the members of the Black Lilies did not pay attention to anything, focusing on their own confrontation. Suddenly, a zombie in a swimsuit ran towards them with a canister in her hands. Lisa was terribly scared and begged her not to come near her. The monster just smiled bloodthirstily. The girl began firing her gun towards the enemy. Clarice tried to stop her and warn her about something. She noticed that the zombie had fuel in his hands, but did not have time to say anything. Lisa hit the canister directly, causing an explosion. The flames spread throughout the house, consuming everything around it. Ryan was pleased that his plan worked. He and the girls ran away to a safe distance from their former home. But even from there Anya saw the fire. Suddenly a system window appeared, which reported that the hero had received 6 million coins. He was pleasantly surprised that you could get money for controlling zombies and at the same time for killing other monsters. Anna noticed his horribly satisfied expression on his face, like that of a cat who had eaten too much sour cream. She told him to stop thinking such vulgar things about her sister. Sonia intervened, trying to calm Anna down, saying that now was not the most suitable situation for swearing. Besides, Ryan saved both of them and they did without unnecessary casualties. Anna could not argue with her sister, especially when she turned out to be completely right. Sophia asked why that zombie suddenly started dancing. The hero explained this by saying that if you use a special technique of hitting points on the body, then even Anna will start dancing without stopping. A moment later, faced with two hostile gazes, he fell silent, remembering Sophia's warning regarding his actions towards her sister. Half an hour ago, when he was in system space, he decided to use his new ability. The goddess explained to him that the essence of this ability is to transfer the memories and perceptions of the owner of the technology into a zombie. Ryan asked what she meant. The girl explained that if the zombie is under his control, then the guy can see everything the same as the monster he controls. Ryan didn't think it was such a cool skill and was glad when he learned about the opportunities that opened up for him. Finding himself on the roof of a nearby house, he examined the surroundings in search of zombies that he could control. Noticing some movement at one point, he finally completed his search. The guy immediately activated his new ability. He targeted the only zombie girl in the marked group of undead. He managed to take control of her body. Now he was faced with the task of figuring out how to bring this whole crowd into their house. He turned on his heels, striking a seductive pose, hoping that something similar would have an effect on the zombies. His idea was a success, and the whole crowd paid attention to it. A couple of minutes later, Ryan was leading an amorous crowd of zombies. He was proud of himself for creating such a brilliant plan to take revenge on the Black Lilies. He suddenly began to laugh, still in his thoughts, involuntarily attracting the attention of the girls, who did not understand the reason for his sudden merriment. Anna warned her sister to be careful with him, because judging by such a creepy laugh, he was definitely thinking about vulgarities. Her words instantly sobered up the creation of the hero, and he stopped laughing, realizing that he was in a precarious position. The hero asked why she constantly thinks about him in this way. He was simply thinking about how cleverly we dealt with the enemies who attacked us. But Anna did not buy his words. Sophia intervened in their squabble, saying that if they continue to swear at every step, they will call all the zombies in the area. After her words, they decided to start running to get to the casino as soon as possible. As Sophia predicted, one monster was attracted to their retreating voices. Sneaking after his prey, he did not notice the enemy that had crept up on him from behind. Someone cut off a zombie's head with one swing. As soon as the dead body fell to the ground, gold began to appear from it. The man smiled when he received 1 million for the murder. All this time he was under Ryan's control. The hero began to enjoy killing zombies through another zombie, avoiding unnecessary risks. Thus, while on the move, he received money for killing local zombies. After dawn, they finally reached the casino building, which looked very impressive even from afar. There were so many undead around him that even an apple couldn't fall. The hero and the girls assessed the situation, observing from a safe distance. He thought about how they could get through this crowd to the main entrance and get inside. Anna was surprised by so many undead. Approaching him, she said that she could distract them while Ryan and Sophia ran to the main gate. Her sister put a hand on her shoulder, interrupting her train of thought. The girl came forward with her bow, asking that the job be given to her. The next moment she pulled the tight bowstring. She was trying to find something that could explode if the girl shot at this object. Shooting zombies one at a time would be too ineffective. Shifting her attention a little to the side, she noticed something that would help in her plan. After that, she evened out her breathing to calm her excitement, because the distance was long even for her. A second later, Sophia released the arrow. She flew exactly to her target, without deviating from the route. Due to the broken side, the contents of the tank began to come out, creating a fire. Then a deafening explosion rang out, consuming the undead. The monsters that were not affected by the fire began to run away. Sophia watched the zombie exodus, proud of her work. A couple of seconds later the area was completely empty. After that, she lowered her weapon, saying that the way was clear. Ryan praised the girl for being so brilliant with her bow. Having descended, the team got closer to the building, examining it up close. Ryan was sure there were just mountains of gold inside. Suddenly a strange movement began to the side, which did not escape the hero's attention. He told the girl that they should hide somewhere as quickly as possible. Hiding behind the bus, he began to watch the approaching column of dust, among which a certain silhouette could be seen. The huge monster was moving straight towards the bus, as if sensing its victims. Sophia was horrified by its size. She had never seen anything like it. It took him a couple of seconds to reach and stop near the bus, behind which Ryan and the girls were hiding. Suddenly he sat down on the ground and raised his arms above his head, roaring. His scream was deafening to the team hiding just a few steps away from him. Suddenly he fell silent and hit his stomach with his fists, after which the black cords sticking out from there hung in a horizontal position, and all the glass within a kilometer radius began to crack. Ryan watched in horror. A few moments later everything went quiet. Turning around to take another look at the monster that had arrived, Anna assumed it was a demon. When the hero asked what demon she was talking about, the girl replied that she had heard from other survivors about mutated zombies, who began to be called that. His nickname is justified because, as she knows, his destructive power is frightening. He is equal to 100 zombies. After her words, he decided to check something, picking up a stone lying nearby. Leaning against the ground, the guy under the bus threw it at an iron structure that could attract the attention of this monster. The next moment, as Ryan had planned, the demon reached towards the direction from which it heard the sound. He began to inspect the trash can to see if there was a hidden victim there. At the same time, the zombie that the hero controlled appeared above the lantern located above the monster. Ryan watched, waiting for the right moment to attack. A few seconds later, he pushed off the surface and rushed at his opponent. The hero intended to attack him with a picked-up steel pipe. Without turning around, the monster grabbed the attacker with one hand. The controlled zombie was trapped in a vice, unable to do anything. When the demon turned his attention to him, Ryan's control had already subsided from his victim. He threw his head back, opening his mouth and lifting the zombie's body above it. The next moment the demon devoured its victim. If earlier the hero thought that the enemy was simply physically strong, now it was impossible not to note his speed and intelligence. When he thought that with the current level of the Eye's ability they had no chance of defeating him, much less taking control of him, a goddess began to materialize in front of the guy. Ryan was very surprised by her sudden appearance. He looked at the girls, worried that they might see her too. The goddess who appeared reassured him, saying that only he could see her. Afterwards, the girls said that the demon is a zombie that absorbed 10,000 of its own kind and became a high-level monster. At his current level, Ryan will not be able to take control of him, but if he kills him, he will receive a large bonus. After her words, a system window appeared in front of the guy with a task to kill the demon in 3 days. If successful, he would receive 100 million and an additional bonus. Sophia brought him back to reality, touching the hero's shoulder. The girl said that they should bypass the demon and go for the gold. He replied that they would find gold in any case, but it is not every day that one manages to encounter such a monster, and he must defeat it at all costs. Seeing the doubt on his sisters' faces, Ryan began to explain the plan. A few minutes later, he picked Sophia up in his arms, telling Anya to follow them. To begin with, he planned to find a temporary shelter to hide from the demon and rest. They managed to get inside the building from the rear entrance of the structure without any problems. Having risen to the 5th floor, they went in search of a suitable room for rest, which would be far from the crowd of undead and would be quite safe. Stopping in front of one door, he asked the girls, telling them not to follow him further. The hero was going to check the room for zombies and did not want to expose his companions to danger once again. Before going inside, he activated the ability of his eyes, allowing him to take control of the undead. Only after that did he open the door, which easily let him inside. Despite the chaos, it was quite quiet inside and it seemed as if no one was there. But behind the curtains the hero still managed to notice the silhouette of a zombie. He immediately moved towards the balcony. Due to poor lighting, he did not see that the floor was filled with an unknown substance. Having taken a step, he barely managed not to lose his balance and fall on the floor. The hero did not understand why the room was so slippery. A couple of seconds later, he still slipped and fell, partially falling onto the bed. Hearing an incomprehensible noise, the girls were afraid for the guy and ran to help him in case of danger. Once inside, they were amazed by what they saw. Ryan was in no danger at all. He was sitting by the bed, holding a doll in the shape of a girl by the chest. The expression on Anna's face at that moment did not promise the hero anything good. After a few moments, the girls sat down on the vacated bed, and the hero, who had received several new bumps, went to the window. Opening the curtain, he saw a hat hanging on a hanger, which he mistakenly took for a zombie. Anna asked if he chose this particular room for his vacation on purpose. Having filled his hat with food, he said that what happened earlier was a pure accident. As soon as she saw the pile of food, all other thoughts were pushed into the background. Leaving them the hat, Ryan said that he needed to prepare for the battle with the demon and headed towards the exit. Grabbing her sword, Anna says she will go with him. He stops her, saying that he doesn't need help getting ready. The hero said that the girl should stay here and protect her sister while he deals with the rest. Immediately after that, he left and closed the door behind him. Ryan could finally put his plan into action. First, he needed to find a hidden safe. He decided to get the gold to increase his chances of success in his assassination mission. Having reached the room at the end of the corridor, he entered it and found a large concentration of undead there. The hero was glad to have this opportunity to earn more money. Suddenly, another rather large zombie burst into the corridor, tearing the door off its hinges. The monster unmistakably determined the guy's position, approaching him. For Ryan, the size of the enemy was just right to get rid of the entire crowd of undead if he was taken control. The zombie attacked its target once inside the room. The hero did not move an inch as the enemy's huge fist approached him, confident in his abilities. At the last moment, the guy seized control of the zombie, forcing him to stop. After making sure that the monster was completely under his control, Ryan sent him to the rest of the zombies to kill them. In a matter of seconds, he dealt with a dozen of his relatives. Leaving the killing of the monster to his worker, the guy himself continues to search for the safe. He decided to start in the basement and gradually move up to the floor above. 2 hours later, he looked exhausted and upset. Although he searched the entire building, he still found nothing. He had even searched the main casino building and was now on the top floor, still unable to find the safe. Walking past the open door, he noticed that the office was luxuriously furnished and clearly belonged to someone at the top. The hero began to hope that the safe he treasured would be here. He walked over to a wall-sized photo of a married couple. Using the eye's X-ray function, Ryan learned that there was a hidden mechanism in the painting. He pressed an inconspicuous button. A couple of seconds later, one of the bookcases moved to the side, forming a concealed passage. The hero was glad that his suffering had finally paid off and he was one step closer to his victory. He walked inside the secret room, at the end of which there was a wall-sized safe. Thanks to his eyes, he was able to detect a security system that did not allow outsiders to get to the treasure. After everything he'd been through, some kind of infrared radiation couldn't stop him. He easily performed various acrobatic stunts while overcoming obstacles. A couple of minutes later, he finally found himself at the finish line, approaching the safe without any obstacles. When he used the eye's ability to check what was inside, he was greatly disappointed. Instead of gold, he found only a small envelope. The shattered hopes hit him hard. He didn't go through all these countless floors to find an empty safe. Ryan pulled himself together, hoping that such strong protection protected valuable information related to the location of the gold. A moment later, he struck the safe, breaking through one of its walls. The hero approached the envelope with a sinking heart, hoping for the best. When the guy took it, the inscription read on the surface plunged him into a stupor. The request to open the envelope only in the absence of his wife nearby brought up completely different considerations about its contents. Opening it, Ryan saw only a tattered photograph of a man whose photo hangs in the office. The guy unfolded the photo, hoping that there would be more useful information on the back. Immediately after this, a system window appeared with a new notification. The hero learned that the zombie he had previously taken control of had died, but earned him a lot of money. At the moment, he had 51 million in his account and Ryan can raise his level. After that, he called upon the goddess, transporting himself to system space. There he unlocked the Eye of Scarlet Flame ability. The guy was delighted with this ability. He felt several times stronger. A new pattern appeared in his eye, indicating that he had successfully mastered the ability he had acquired. He was glad when he learned that he would now be able to take control of 2 zombies at the same time, and he would also have access to the Eye of the Falcon. The hero asked the goddess about the latter. She replied that he needed to learn for himself what this skill was. After that, she also informed him that now 10 turns in the lottery are available for the guy. The chance of receiving a valuable artifact increases. Ryan said without hesitation that he would not miss such a chance and agreed to the lottery. Having spent 20 million, he was in a stupor when all sorts of rubbish began to fall. The guy sat down on his knee, examining everything he got. Unexpectedly for him, he found a really important thing among all this. When he left the system space, he again found himself in front of the safe with packages in his hands. He turned around when he heard zombies approaching there. Their appearance now was very inopportune. If there were no infrared rays here, he would have easily dealt with them. One of them, seeing the target, immediately rushed forward. As soon as he touched the invisible beam, a cannon came out of the wall, which instantly blew off the zombie's head.